there are some games that come out, blow us away, and leave us begging for more. These are the titles that had incredible potential but never got a sequel. In today's video, we're taking a look at some of the best games that never got a second installment, but totally deserve one. So without wasting more time, let's get into the video.
Hello, Mr. Shen. Or should I say, Officer Shen.
Sleeping Dogs is hands down one of the best games inspired by classic Hong Kong action movies. But unfortunately, the franchise pretty much disappeared after a weird attempt at a sequel that didn't go anywhere. A lot of people don't even remember Sleeping Dogs Triad Wars, a multiplayer-only spin-off that got canceled pretty fast, mostly because nobody really wanted it. But the original Sleeping Dogs, that's a game we'll never forget. People love to compare it to GTA. And yeah, while Sleeping Dogs is technically a spiritual successor to the True Crime series, which were also kind of like GTA knockoffs, it totally stands on its own. The game constantly throws new mechanics at you like ramming cars off the road, leaping from one vehicle to another, or unlocking sick new combat moves. And the hand-to-hand combat is super satisfying, especially with those brutal finishers. Now imagine an updated version with better graphics, modern gameplay mechanics, and maybe even a few extra features to take things up a notch. With the right upgrades, Sleeping Dogs could absolutely make a comeback as a top-tier franchise. It's got everything it needs to be a hit. Back in 2017, Donnie Yen was actually set to star in a Sleeping Dogs movie, but after years of delays, he confirmed that the project was dead. But now, Simu Liu has stepped in. He's working with the rights holders to finally bring Sleeping Dogs to the big screen. Some reports even say the movie is already in development with Liu playing Wei Shen. If this actually happens, who knows? Maybe it could even spark a sequel to the game. Guess we'll have to wait and see.
You need many things for a conviction, young Phelps.
Female dumped the end of Hill Street.
Hard evidence.
L.A. Noire was originally released in 2011 for PC, PlayStation 3, and Xbox 360 before making its way to other platforms in the years that followed, which even included a VR adaptation. Developed by Team Bondi and published by Rockstar Games, L.A. Noire put players in the shoes of Detective Cole Phelps as he sets out to solve various crimes throughout Los Angeles in the 1940s. Now, I know some of you might be thinking, L.A. Noire, isn't that an old game? But trust me, it was a real game changer when it came out. The graphics were mind-blowing, pushing the limits of what was possible on the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360. And the reason it looked so good was because of this thing called motion scan technology, which is a type of motion capture. It allowed for super realistic animations and facial expressions, making the game feel incredibly immersive. Even though the graphics might seem a bit dated now, the game's attention to detail is still impressive. The characters' subtle behaviors like nervous tics and smirks make every interrogation feel super realistic. I mean, you'll see characters fidgeting, avoiding eye contact, and exhibiting all these other subtle behaviors that make you feel like you're really interacting with real people.
I never gave up on my wife.
Now imagine if they made a sequel to L.A. Noire using today's facial animation technology. It could be even more immersive with more realistic and engaging interrogations. You could read characters' expressions and body language to solve cases, making the game feel even more realistic. The way L.A. Noire blended acting and gameplay was really rare in the gaming world, and a sequel could take it to the next level.
About what you've told us, Tiernan, you're not in the clear.
I ain't gonna let that happen.
Enslaved Odyssey to the West is one of those games that kind of flew under the radar for a lot of people, but honestly, it really deserves a second look. It didn't sell super well when it came out, so there's a good chance some of you might have missed it. It was made by Ninja Theory, the same team behind Heavenly Sword and the Devil May Cry reboot. Enslaved is an action-adventure platformer with a sci-fi twist on the classic Chinese novel Journey to the West. The combat might feel a bit simple at times, but the game does a great job of mixing things up, so it never gets too repetitive. The team at Ninja Theory really outdid themselves with the facial animations and voice acting in Enslaved, which is no surprise given their track record. I mean, they worked with the legendary Andy Serkis, who you might know as Gollum from The Lord of the Rings. The characters are so emotionally relatable, which is really rare in action games. Overall, Enslaved is a really well-crafted game, and it's amazing to think about how far Ninja Theory has come since then, especially with their latest project, Hellblade 2. It makes you wonder what a sequel to Enslaved could look like. It's one of those games that got a lot of critical love, but didn't quite get the commercial success it deserved. So if you haven't checked it out yet, I highly recommend giving it a try.
Transit papers are mandatory at all checkpoints. Failure to present proper documentation will be severely punished. Report any subversive behavior to the nearest political bureau.
There are no words for the pain this war has caused.
We won't get another chance to break out.
The Saboteur is one of those games that had so much potential but sadly never got a sequel. It's set in Nazi-occupied Paris, and it let you mix stealth and action in a way that felt fresh and exciting. While it had some GTA vibes, it was more like Hitman in how you could tackle missions in so many different ways. When you first step into a Nazi-controlled area, everything is in black and white, except for the red banners and glowing lights. But as you help the resistance and complete missions, the city starts to come to life, slowly filling with color. Jazz music is playing in the background. NPCs react to what you do, and it really pulls you into the feeling of 1940s France. The blend of history and Hollywood-style storytelling made it stand out from other World War II games. In addition to the main missions, the Saboteur offers plenty of side quests and secondary activities such as races and a duck hunt mini-game. However, these activities aren't as exciting as the main gameplay, where you get to destroy Nazi forces with dynamite and other tools. It's a real shame the Saboteur never got a sequel because it had so much to offer. Hopefully, one day we'll be able to jump back into Paris and continue the fight against the Nazis, bringing more color to the city once again.
The mask was forged from the steel flesh of the fire beast himself. To summon a warrior into this world who would lead our armies to brutal victory.
Brutal Legend didn't have to be as good as it was, but it turned out to be a surprising gem. Developed by the same team behind Psychonauts, known for their quirky games, Brutal Legend stood out, and with Psychonauts earning a sequel, it's time for Brutal Legend to get its second chance. The game stars Jack Black as a rock musician who gets transported into this insane heavy metal world. At first, it feels like an exploration game with some light combat, but then it takes a surprising turn and becomes a full-on real-time strategy game. And that's the part that I think has so much potential for expansion. I think a lot of players were caught off guard by the RTS elements of Brutal Legend, and it's understandable why. The title, the box art, the trailers, everything made it seem like a fast-paced action game where you just shred your way through hordes of enemies with your epic rock powers. But instead, you're defending bases and commanding troops on the battlefield. Now, with the technology we have today, I think we could take that to a whole new level. Imagine having even more tiny soldiers to control, all battling it out with spiked guitars and crazy rock gear. That's an amazing concept, and I think we could see so much more of it. Games like that with huge armies of small characters are really rare on consoles these days. That's why I think someone should give Brutal Legend another shot. Who knows? It took 16 years between Psychonauts and its sequel, so Brutal Legend 2 could still happen one day.
I want you to kill Kate Archer.
No One Lives Forever is a first-person shooter inspired by James Bond and spy movies from the 60s. It's a fast-paced game with cool gadgets, making it feel more thoughtful than many other games from 2000. But it didn't sell well. By the end of 2000, it had only sold about 35,000 copies. While it eventually sold over 350,000 units, it wasn't enough for Fox Interactive. The game got 2 sequels, but they didn't do well either. By the time the last game came out, Fox was merging with Vivendi Universal, and the company was starting to fade. Meanwhile, Monolith Productions, the creators of the game, went on to make hits like Fear and Condemned Criminal Origins after being bought by Warner Bros. Interactive. Vivendi Universal was bought by Activision in the late 2000s. This This left No One Lives Forever in a tough situation. In 2013, Activision said they probably didn't own the rights anymore, and by 2020, no one knew who did. Because of this, all attempts to release the game again have failed. Companies like GOG and Night Dive Studios tried to get the rights but faced many problems. Sadly, since no one knows who owns the rights, No One Lives Forever is stuck in a legal mess. But Night Dive Studios CEO Stephen Kick is still hopeful and wants to release the game someday. He believes it will happen eventually, and honestly, we're all kind of rooting for that to happen. Hopefully, we'll get to play No One Lives Forever again soon.
America is out to destroy the Shagohod and get its hands on your inheritance. The Philosopher's legacy. Then they're out to kill me as well.
The Metal Gear series is still going strong with a remake of Metal Gear Solid 3 in the works for modern consoles. But unfortunately, Revengeance seems stuck in limbo. No one really expects a Revengeance 2, and no one's talking about it. Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance was developed by Platinum Games, who turned what was originally a failed project into a masterpiece. The game was originally meant to be a side story developed with series creator Hideo Kojima as Metal Gear Solid Rising, but fell apart before Platinum took over, turning it into something truly special. In Revengeance, you play as Raiden, one of the Metal Gear series' most iconic characters. You slice your way through armies of cybernetic enemies, all while jamming out to an epic soundtrack. The combat works perfectly, but a sequel could add new combos, boss weapons, and different enemy types that would require more strategic thinking. It would also be nice to see fewer repetitive QuickTime events and more variety in how you approach fights. Even though Revengeance is part of the larger Metal Gear universe, it totally stands on its own as a unique action game, and that ending is one of the most meme-worthy moments in gaming history. Metal Gear Rising: Revengeance is a fantastic game that truly deserves a great sequel. The story and gameplay have so much potential to grow, and with 10 years since its release, the time is right for a new chapter.
Just getting started! Playtime's over!
Rockstar is slammed right now with Grand Theft Auto 6, and GTA Online is just printing money for them. It's hard to blame them for focusing on that, but it's a bummer because I think a sequel to Bully is long overdue. I mean, GTA Online is just too lucrative to ignore, but personally, I think Bully deserves some love. You know, Bully was a product of a different era at Rockstar when they had the freedom to experiment and try new things. It's often called a teenage GTA, and that's pretty spot on. You've got an open world, missions, and all the makings of a Grand Theft Auto game. But instead of a city, it's set in a school. And instead of guns, you're rocking a slingshot. Instead of driving cars, you're cruising on a skateboard. And instead of pulling off heists, you're trying to get your homework done on time. There was just something so charming and relatable about navigating school life, skipping class, and trying to avoid those pesky hall monitors. It felt way more grounded and realistic than the usual chaos of Grand Theft Auto. I mean, who didn't love getting detention, playing pranks on classmates, and trying to outsmart the teachers? It's a game that's hard to forget, you know? The possibilities for a sequel are endless, and I'm keeping my fingers crossed that one day Rockstar will remember how special Bully was and give us the sequel we've all been waiting for.
The dorm's mascot. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Femboy, the girliest boy in school.
Days Gone is an open-world zombie game that really nails the whole post-apocalypse vibe. You play as a biker navigating a post-apocalyptic world, searching for answers about your deceased wife and taking down enemies in the most epic way possible. I'm telling you, the experience of playing Days Gone is hard to put into words. You just have to play it to get it. Fighting off hordes of zombies is both thrilling and terrifying at the same time. One of the coolest features of the game is the need to take down massive swarms of zombies using traps, guns, and other tools. It's like you're right in the middle of a real-life zombie apocalypse. The gameplay has a similar feel to Grand Theft Auto, where you can cruise around on your bike, explore the open world, and take on zombies. And if you're thinking it sounds similar to Red Dead Redemption's Undead Nightmare expansion, you're not wrong. But trust me, Days Gone takes the zombie apocalypse experience to a whole new level. Now, I know no game is perfect, and Days Gone has its flaws. When it first came out, some players had issues with the pacing and technical performance. But despite those flaws, fans still love it to death. And the good news is that Days Gone Remastered is coming to PS5 on April 25th as a digital-only title. Who knows, maybe this is a sign that a sequel is on the way.
We'll survive.
We are human beings. Each and every one of us. This must not go on. This injustice must end.
An increase in the number of terrorist attacks highlights the danger posed by augmented citizens.
I once thought I could save the world. Now look at it.
Help me!
Sometimes you just have to let go.
Deus Ex is the original series we all loved. The first game was such a big deal. It broke new ground with its deep immersion and the freedom it gave players, especially back when most games were pretty linear. But over time, it kind of lost its momentum, and the sequel didn't get the same love as the first one. I recently went back and replayed that sequel, and honestly, it was kind of eye-opening. You can really see how much it was watered down to fit both console and PC demands back in 2003. Things have changed a lot since then though, and now console and PC games aren't as different as they used to be. But even the later sequels from Eidos like Deus Ex Human Revolution and Deus Ex Mankind Divided still had some of those same issues. They were technically prequels keeping the Deus Ex spirit alive, but honestly, we're long overdue for a proper continuation of the series. Speaking of Mankind Divided, that game ended on one heck of a cliffhanger, right? Fans were left hanging, and it just felt like the story was left unfinished. It's a real bummer, especially for a series that deserves closure. These games have set the bar for action RPG shooters, both the older ones and the newer titles. They're what everyone else has to live up to. Even if there isn't a new Deus Ex on the way, indie developers are still inspired by it. It's definitely harder to recreate that Deus Ex magic, but hopefully one day we'll get an official game that brings it back.
We will not be herded into ghettos and treated as outcasts. We will stop at nothing.
The world is different now. The old rules no longer apply. So much pain. So many lies. Their darkness must end.
This should be your fight as well, brother. The promise of a golden age is over.
Alright, that wraps up today's list of games that definitely deserve a second chance. Do you agree with the picks, or is there another game you think should have made the list? Let me know in the comments, and if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit that like button, share with your friends, and subscribe for more game talk. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one.